morning friends. In the earlier lectures of embryology, we discussed about the development of male gametophyte and it took place in two processes. First, microsporogenesis, in which spores were produced, and then these spores got differentiated into gametes known as microgametogenesis. Now, coming to the female reproductive part of the flower, which is known as gynoecium. It is a collective term and the independent unit is called as carpel or pistil. Now, this structure is made up of stigma, style and ovary. The ovary has a number of ovules inside it. We can see that ovules are attached to the wall of ovary by a structure known as placenta or funicle. The point of attachment of this placenta with this ovule, now this structure is ovule, which gets converted into seed, and the point of attachment of this placenta with ovule is known as hilum. The ovule along with its integuments is known as megasporangium. On enlarging this structure, we see that this is the outer covering of ovule known as integument, and inside this whole tissue is nucellus. This small opening is known as micropyle. Just opposite to micropyle is known as chalaza. These ovules, they are arranged in a number of patterns in the ovary. Now, as I told you that ovules are arranged in different positions in ovary, we may classify ovules on the basis of their attachment types, like they may be orthotropous or also known as atropous. Ortho means straight, and in this the funicle, chalaza and micropyle, they lie in same plane. They lie in same line, and it is very common in Polygonaceae family. Now coming to next, that is anatropous, in which the ovule becomes curved like this. It gets inverted like this rather, and the micropyle, it comes closer to the funicle. This is known as anatropous ovule, and it is found in majority of the Angiospermae families. The third is hemianatropous, in which the ovule position is between ortho and ana. It is at right angle. The micropyle is at right angle to the funicle, and it is found in ranunculus. Coming to next type of ovule, which is carpylotropous, and in which the position of ovule is between ana and hemian, like this. It is at around 60 degree, and it is very common in Leguminosae. Coming to the next category of ovule attachment, it is amphitropous, in which the ovule is more curved and the embryo sac gets even more curved. and is common in family Aliceaceae. To the sixth type of ovule attachment, we call it as Circinotropous, in which the ovule was initially ortho, then became ana, and finally became ortho, and the final structure looks like this. It is found in cactus. So these are 6 types in which ovules are attached on the wall of the ovary. Now coming to the next aspect of megasporogenesis, in which we will discuss the structure of megaspore. Now coming to the detailed structure of an ovule, we can see ovule is made up of integuments, micropyle. This entire inner tissue is known as nucellus, which has female gametophyte inside it known as embryo sac. This, as I told you, chalaza, and this is funicle. Now coming to the integuments, first, the number of integuments may be 2 or 1. If these are 2 in number, then it is known as bitegmic situation, and it is found in about 70% of the families. And if it is 1, instead of 2 integuments, instead of 2 coverings, if only 1 covering is present, then we call it as unitegmic condition. The unitegmic condition may be formed by the fusion of these 2 integuments. Sometimes a third integument is also present. For example, in case of lychee, Euphorbiaceae, and then this third integument is known as aril. This one integument condition is found in families like Acanthaceae and Solanaceae. Now, in Euphorbiaceae, sometimes an outgrowth is formed on the upper side of this micropyle, which is known as caruncle. It is found in very common example is Ricinus castor. In some plants, the integuments, they also have stomata and chloroplast. Now these stomata are meant for gaseous exchange only. This integument which have chloroplast suggests that they have origin from leaf-like structures. Normally the inner integument is thin and the outer integument is thick. Now coming to the next, that is micropyle. Micropyle is an opening. It is an opening from which the pollen tube enters into the ovule, and if we are talking about micropyle of a bitegmic ovule, then the passage formed by the outer integument is known as exostome, and by inner it formed known as endostome. This passage may be straight as I have drawn here, or it may be like this. It may be zigzag or it may be straight. Sometimes these integuments, they uh, come so close that this micropyle, it reduces considerably in its diameter like this, making it a very small pore-like structure. Now, coming to the third most important part of the ovule, which is known as nucellus. Nucellus is parenchymatous tissue which is present between the integuments and the embryo sac. Now, it is of two types. If the tissue between the embryo sac and integument is of greater length, greater thickness, then we call it as crassinucellate structure, means thick. And if the thickness is less or the number of layers, then it is known as tenuate nucellate ovule. So this type of classification is based on the thickness of nucellus. Now, in euphorbiaceae, sometimes this nucellus it makes a beak-like structure like this, which is known as nucellar beak in euphorbiaceae. As you all know that the embryo, it develops from this embryo sac. So this inner integument, it sometimes this inner integument, it becomes large, dense cytoplasmic, binucleate or polyploid, and it then functions as tapetum. This inner integument, it then functions as tapetum when the embryo sac is increasing in size, it is absorbing the tissue of nucellus, then this inner integument, it becomes like this, and it then provides nutrition to the developing embryo. Now this type of integument is then known as endothecium or integumentary tapetum. Now this inner integument gets transformed into integumentary tapetum. In some plants, it has been also observed that these cells, they become irregular in shape and they prevent the extension of this embryo sac or embryo on the outer side. These tissues here and here are known as hypostase and epistase. Though the exact function is not known, but it is supposed that they prevent the outward movement of the developing embryo from this structure. Friends, till now we have discussed about the structure of megasporangium, the structure of ovule. Now, how the development of megaspores takes place, we shall discuss it now. The process is known as megasporogenesis, and in this ovule primordium, which is initially a very small structure having outer epidermal cell and inner meristematic cells known as hypodermal cells. So any of the hypodermal cell, it differentiates, it becomes large, dense cytoplasmic, and it divides to make outer parietal cell and inner sporogenous cell. The parietal cell, this is primary parietal cell and this is primary sporogenous cell. The primary parietal cell, it may or may not divide to make parietal tissue or nucellus, and this primary sporogenous cell, it divides by meiosis and makes megaspores. It directly functions as MMC or megaspore mother cell, which divides by meiosis, making 4 megaspores. Now, the further development of these megaspores into female gametophyte, we shall take it in other next lecture.